This program is intended for a mature audience. If you are not 18 or over, please stop listening and find more age-appropriate content. The show will cover content in an adult-minded manner. If you are offended by any material here, you have a choice to stop listening. Please listen with an open mind and don't discriminate to the ideas of our guests. Thank you and enjoy the show. Welcome to Living Well with Bad Habits. I'm your host, Ashley Shannon, and today I have with me Rory. I cannot say your last name. I'm sorry. If you could say it, that would be great.
Rory Paquette, and no problem.
Awesome. And what is it that you do, Rory?
I am a podcaster. I'm a coach in a lot of different ways, and a father and a husband.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And you should add inspirational speaker and stuff like that on there too, because what you put on your podcast and your Facebook and all that,
yeah,
a lot of guys can listen to that. And if the one thing I love about it is the fact that if a guy's in a low place, or really anybody for that matter, you seem to have something about you that inspires people.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I try. I really do. I went into, my first podcast and my biggest one is Power Man. And I went into that with that goal, to basically say, hey, if I can help one guy who doesn't have anybody else helping him out to, just feel a little bit better, then it's all worth it. So I appreciate that very much. Thanks. And thanks for tuning in on New Year's Eve. That was kind of a big one. Turned into a big one after the fact too, but it was nice having guys on there.
Yeah, like I said, I watched it. I actually had a couple of the kids watch it, and I had my wife join in and watch when she could. I know she was really busy.
Yeah. When am I not busy is the question.
And I know I did invite quite a few of the guys that are in like my Facebook group and that to jump in and kind of see what you're about. And like, I know a lot of my family, we have an issue to where we try to put in a big face, but if something's really bugging us, we tend to bury it. And after listening to what you were saying and stuff like that, like you said, it's not a good idea to bury it. It's always good to have somebody to talk to. That way you're not bringing it home and you're not taking it out on your wife and kids.
Yes, and I know a lot of people in our household that do that.
Yeah, our boys
are very horrible at that, and we actually almost lost our son back in June due to trying to commit suicide. And so mental health is a huge thing for me. I advocate for it a lot. Special needs are huge for me too, because all our boys are special needs in one form or another. And I'm not just like being like, yeah, they have learning disabilities. No, they're actually like autistic and Down syndrome and, health needs and things like that. So you take care of what we've got 2 gone, but we still got 5 here, because we took on our soon to be adoptive son.
Yep, I was letting him know off the air about, what was going on with him and adopting him shortly.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, and then you throw in, your mental health issues in there as well. And then, you're like, I'm on top of my kids in regards to their mental health issues because I advocate for it so much. And like I tell them, if you can't tell me what's going on, I cannot help you.
Well, and then you got to deal with your oldest man child.
Yeah, I know. Because things do build up, and he snaps off after it does build up. I mean, three of us are in counseling and we see the same counselor.
And he's a really great guy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
amazing. He's actually a psychotherapist, but he is amazing. He keeps telling me that's what I need to go to school for. Because he's like, why are you even in therapy? He's like, you're basically telling me what I should be telling you. Like, I get that a lot, but
So do I.
but it's because I am kind. I have a big heart, and I always say if anybody ever needs to talk, whether I don't like you or I don't know you or you're my best friend, pick up the phone, call, do something. Um, and yeah, there is a big stigma out there about men and,
Oh, we're not
getting,
supposed to show feelings or
yeah.
anything like that or emotions.
Unfortunately, it's a lot of it is like that still to this day. And, I will tell you, I pushed my husband to go into counseling. And yes, there are more counselors now there, thank God, but I can't call and be like, hey, I need to schedule a counseling appointment for a new person or anything like that. You have to own what you have and step up and take that responsibility because nobody else can do it for you.
Well, my counselor left and they never replaced her.
Yeah, yeah, it took them a little while.
But
So,
but now, so what do you? Sorry, babe.
go ahead.
I'm not trying to hijack your show.
No, you're fine.
So what do you tell guys in like say like my situation that kind of keeps burying their feelings instead of letting it out? I mean, she's actually helped me break through some of those walls, but with like I'm assuming when you talk about like you said you've done some couple counseling and stuff like that, is that
Mhm.
something that you've got to deal with a lot of like couples as far as like letting out their feelings and actually how they feel instead of just burying everything?
Sometimes. I always like to clarify, I'm not a licensed therapist or a psychologist or anything like that. I'm a, 54-year-old guy who's just very aware of the mistakes he's made and, raised three kids, been divorced, been remarried, the whole bit. So I have a lot of scars, but I've been able to somehow learn a lot from them. And so I try to share that with other guys. The first step that I try to work with guys on is if you're having trouble opening up, there's any myriad of reasons. And, conversations just man to man, you can get to the bottom of a lot of it. It's not difficult to kind of see the root of where some of it comes from. But when you're having trouble opening up, sometimes it's because of the role of the man in life, in the world, in your family. When you're supposed to be, the leader, when you're supposed to be the provider and the protector and everything else, uh, your family doesn't want to hear that you're overwhelmed and you're completely wiped out and you may not be able to pay the electric bill. They want to be there for you, but they also need you to be strong, especially when the other folks in the family are having trouble. And so one of the things that happens is for a guy who can't open up and wants to open up, to his wife, to his family, opening up to other men who are going through the same type of stuff and opening up in a container, a private, way, where you're not broadcasting it to everybody, type of thing, is a lot easier for a lot of guys. And so I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with guys. The first couple of sessions are, us talking about who they are and what they're trying to do. And, but, by the third or fourth session, they're really opening up. In doing that, they're learning how, sometimes for the first time ever, to open up and talk about this stuff that they may have never spoken about before. And when they can open up to another guy about it, a guy who's been through it, who feels the same way, then they can start to actually visualize how I could really open up to my wife or my kids or my significant other or whatever it is. So there's a lot of threat. There's a lot of danger to a guy who's in a position like what you were just asking me about, because he's never done it before. And so all he can think is what happens if I open up and this goes wrong, or she takes this wrong, or I start a fight or whatever. When you open up to another guy, there's almost no fear there. If that guy wants to judge you, fine. You punch him in the face and you walk away. Or you leave. I mean, There's no threat to your home by talking to another guy, to
Right.
in a
Mhm.
brotherhood. So
Well, that's
that's
like
where we
him
always
and
start.
I used to talk every night at bedtime about everything, like, how the day went, that sort of thing. That's when we talked about everything. That doesn't happen anymore. And I keep asking him why this is happening. And like he also like because of our past traumas, like I was with a narcissist for 16 years. So, like mentally, emotionally, physically abusive type thing, but I mean, way worse than I'm putting it. His ex was abusive as well, but not to the same extreme. But like, all the kids were involved in both situations, and they seen things that shouldn't have been seen, that sort of thing, whatever. But in the beginning, he was able to talk to me every night. And as it's gone on, he hasn't been able to. And he gets triggered by like anybody as he says it's yelling. But when I get emotionally like upset because I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm a person who, if somebody comes into my house, they're like, have very bad emotions, negative things going on, that sort of thing. I can feel it and it like drains me.
Hmm.
Now, when I get emotional about things, it goes to a whole different extreme. And the only way I let it out is by crying. And so when I cry, I get a little bit louder than, I'm not like screaming or anything like that, but I get a little bit louder when I'm saying things because I'm crying. Like I'm like extremely like, built up with emotions. And that's how I let it out and express myself. And he takes it as I'm yelling at him. Like, I'm not yelling at you.
Which
Like,
I'm working on.
Yeah. And so we struggle too, but like I miss that nighttime routine we had.
I understand that. I mean, if I was in your husband's spot, I think I would probably have a really hard time um, with that conversation as well. To be completely honest, with everything that you have going on in your life,
Hmm.
if I was sitting in his spot, with everything you're dealing with, from your health, mental, emotional, and physical, to all the kids, to everything you're carrying, I'm just guessing that the last thing in the world your husband wants to do is come home, sit down with you in the few quiet moments you guys have together, and unload his problems on top of you also.
No, not unloading our issues, talking about the day, just in general, you know,
Hmm.
how things went at work, things like that. Just, as my counselor calls it, like a positive ending to your day.
Sure.
And that's not so bad. But yeah, there are times that we do need to talk about emotional stuff. And I know a lot about his past and things that have happened to him and things that he has gone through. So, like, I completely understand where he's coming from as well. Um, it's just like I said, we both have to work on that. We both have triggers. We
For
both
sure. Yeah.
have, problems. We're both human. And we have how many kids? And it's a lot to deal with. And,
Right.
he goes to work and yeah, it's work. He has to work. I'm like, I'll trade you places, please. Like you stay home with the kids. I'll go to work. I'm number one, not a person who is let's say a 50s housewife type of person. I am very I say it how
Sorry,
it
not trying to laugh at that. I can see you're not
I'm
50s house.
straightforward. I say it how it is, and I'll tell you where to go, where the bear shits in the woods. Like I was made to be quiet for way too long. And after my divorce, it's like I got to finally breathe and be free for the most part and finally be myself.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on it. But yeah, it's a lot to deal with that many kids with those type of disabilities, but I do it. I get up, I do it.
And then yelling at me constantly to stop running around and everything on my foot.
Yeah, exactly. No, you need to be, and I start work here now soon too, eventually. So, like, and I do want to go to school to become not quite a psychotherapist, but a step above it. So it's, a lot to do, but I'm already a cosmetologist. I'm a CNE. Like, I was a manager for 13 years for different fast food places, restaurants. So, I mean, I am a very strong, independent woman, and I'm used to being that way. I was raised to be that way. Um, my stepdad was an extremely hard person to deal with, and so it was a lot. And then I married someone exactly like him. So, um, yeah,
Her other half, not me.
yeah,
I didn't think she was
he's
talking about you.
good.
Yeah.
He's
I didn't
good.
think she
Trust
was talking
me.
about you, man.
He's an
I just wanted to
amazing.
clear that up.
He's an amazing person, and I understand that he's got his mental health issues as well, and needs to learn how to deal with things that way. And yeah, you need to see a counselor, but you need to see the right counselor, like someone that's gonna be a good fit for you. And the past two so far have not seemed to be a good fit. You keep ending up with females. Maybe you need to be with the male counselor.
Yeah, I'm willing to try anything.
You know?
I've got 2 openings for men's coaching if you're interested. Just let me know, man. We can talk about
Okay, might be a good idea.
it.
There, there's a different outlook on, things too. There.
So,
I mean, he reminds me a lot of Jeremy. He's easy to talk to.
I was just going to ask, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't
it's
know
a
who
good
this
thing.
person is.
My counselor. My
We just
counselor.
can't say his last name
No.
where he works or anything like
No,
that. I just want to
Sure.
make sure she knows that not to say that.
yeah, he's phenomenal. And like you can
That's
just
great.
he bullshits with you everything. Like, he treats you like you're a normal human being and not like you're just another patient. You know what I mean? And
That's
that's how it
huge.
should be.
Yeah, in any kind of therapy at all, or just talking session or anything you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
being able to connect with somebody and feel like you can
Yeah.
actually talk to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 99% of the battle.
Yeah, I mean, I've had
Mhm.
doctors like
Yeah.
that, just regular MDs that I've had forever that, you could just go in, bullshit with them. Like, they don't treat you like you're just, yep, another paycheck. You know what I mean? Another,
Right.
more money,
That's
that sort of thing.
that's part of the reason why I wanted to have him on your show, because with like what he goes with, what I've seen like you post on your stuff,
Yeah.
I just figured you two would be, it'd be a great fit for her to interview you, and everything that you've went through, especially this 2024 was kind of a rough year for you. And
A little bit.
Well, I know it's for me too. Hey.
Yeah.
well, I
I
told you
mean,
what
honestly, yeah, you've been
Yeah.
able to really provide a whole
You
lot of
did.
perspective for me. You guys have, because anytime I was sitting there in the hospital feeling bad about what I was going through, honestly, I thought about you guys a lot.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I would,
Thank you.
I was like, man, with what you're dealing with,
Yeah.
what I'm dealing with, 5 tubes sticking on me right now. I mean, come on, I'm fine. I'm gonna be all right. You know
Well,
what I mean?
like you were saying though, I mean, it was scary because you said you'd go to sleep and not know if you were going to wake up and stuff, and
Yeah.
that's got to be
Yeah.
a
That
mental
is.
drain on that too.
Mhm.
That was the first time I ever had to deal with that, particular phenomenon. So that was tough. Yeah, for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that happened shortly after when I first met you and we did our first interview,
mhm.
and I think like a week or two after that, that's when kind of all that happened. And I know I was watching on YouTube, or not YouTube, but on Facebook when you did your updates, and I was having my wife was watching some of them and
Mhm.
stuff, and yeah, we were pulling for you, man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that very much. It was funny having, doing those updates because I mean, I had a lot of people who were reaching out, had kind of heard. And then I had a lot of people who were like, hey, what's up with the podcast? Hey, I haven't heard the podcast, in the last couple of days. You missed a day, what's going on? And
Yeah.
so I said, look, I got, hundreds of people contacting me right now. I'm just going to do posts about what I'm dealing with.
Hmm.
And that's going to be able to address everybody on both the podcasts and all the coaching groups and everything else. And that really helped a lot because it was kind of the mass, like sending mass email.
Yeah.
You just did a
Right.
mass message. Everybody got
Hmm.
the same message and they all went, oh my gosh,
Well, I know you were
you
pretty
look like crap, Brad.
you were pretty quick to get back to, I know, like when you were getting back to me and that when I'd message you, you were pretty quick to get back. I'm assuming there was a lot of people that, were caring about what was going on and messaging you and stuff like that. And yeah, it was probably quite a bit, and you probably had more time on a computer or a phone or whatever than you really wanted to when you wanted to just sit back and relax and just kind of breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because you go back and forth with that, and I'm sure that you guys can identify with this too. Yeah, actually, especially with everything you've dealt with, it's that phone in your hand when you're laying in the hospital. you know,
Yeah.
you all you want to do is close your eyes and go to sleep, but you're scared to death to close your eyes and go to sleep.
Yep.
So the phone is keeping you up and making you exhausted, but it's also keeping you up.
Kind of like a
It's,
lifeline in a way.
it's like a lifeline. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
you're like, as long as I have this in my hand, it's like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but being able to stay connected to all you guys was huge for me.
Yeah.
Because it was that's my whole life. The way I've built it with my podcasts and my coaching and everything else has been all these people through online and over the internet and on social media and through the podcast. And so when all those people were when you were reaching out and people like you were saying, hey man, stay with it, power to you, hope it's hope you're gonna be all right. And it was just
Yeah.
great to have that sort of um, fresh, real connection with somebody for just 2 seconds.
Hmm.
Even if it's just
Hmm.
through Messenger, like, oh, hey, David, how you doing, man? I'm good. I'm gonna be all right, And then the conversation ends, and you're looking at the same paneling and the same TV with no channels on it, and you're like, okay, I'm back in this box again. 5 tubes
Yeah.
sticking out of me. Can't move.
I know I get
So
whenever somebody's like that though, I get kind of leery. It's like, do I message? Because I don't want to be like bothering or nagging somebody. And it's like if they're trying to relax and rest, and all of a sudden they
Yeah.
just get to sleep and their phone goes off. It's like I just didn't want to be that guy, you know?
Yeah.
no, I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate the thought. I would venture to guess that most of the people who were sitting there like I was, where you're in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I That's just such a long time to be in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
It
you
is.
you're forgetting, you're losing track of time, of what day it is, of what's
Yep.
happening in the world. I mean, you don't even, if my kids weren't coming in and going, "Hey, Dad, the Bears are playing tomorrow," I wouldn't even know it was Sunday coming up. So just to have that is huge. I would say, if it ever happens to you again with anybody else, send the message, brother.
Yeah.
You're a Bears
Se-
fan?
yeah, it's hard to talk about, but yeah.
That's okay. I'm a Dolphins fan. We're hanging on by a string right now.
At
Of
least you got a
course, I'm Green
string.
Bay.
And she's a
Wait, I'm
Packers.
sorry, what?
Packers fan.
All
Yeah.
right, man, you didn't tell me she was a Packer fan.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
when I agreed to come on this podcast, that should have been the first thing that I was told was you're a Packer fan.
Well, of course, they live in Wisconsin.
Hey, the guy that's producing and kind of sitting off to the side, he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah. Hey, we have
Well,
a what else?
Oh God, we've got our one son is a Jaguar Panther fan, and then we got another Cowboys fan, and then three of my kids are Dolphin fans, and so it's kind of all over.
wow.
And the worst thing is every time the Dolphins and the Packers play, my wife and I usually do a bet, and since we've been together, I have yet to win that bet.
I was just gonna say that's a lonely spot to be in.
Yep,
Yes.
the first
So,
year was 2018, right?
Yep.
Yep, it
Yeah.
was. He had to bend over and
ouch.
kiss my shoe.
With my Dolphins jersey on.
Yep, yep. And then this year
Yeah.
he bet and he lost and has to clean the bedroom.
I know I'm still working on that bet.
Yeah. He lost the first bet to that one too before. Yeah, that's double now. But no, we also get into racing too as a family. We
Oh,
have our
cool.
drivers and of course mine and Brantley and Keaton, two of our sons, driver one, Joey Logano, number 22, and they are amazing. They actually sent me
Yeah,
gifts.
yep, they sent you a blanket, some socks, and
Yeah,
and a special autograph picture
yeah,
to her. So
Nice.
she lit
yeah.
up when she seen that.
Yeah, so I mean, because he had mentioned something about my brain cancer and all that, and yeah, it was just amazing.
I did tell him though it's been getting a little better.
It is, but it's not helping that I'm missing treatments, and the first few I actually put off because there's a lot, like things are hectic, especially around this time of year. And then mentally dealing with some of the things I have been in regards to a certain someone. Um, and November 2nd was like my one of my worst nightmares, and I keep reliving it over and over again, and it's hard. So because, a certain someone had decided, oh,
We shouldn't really get into it though,
yep.
because it's still going through court. Sorry, not. We can tell you off the air.
So
Whatever you want to tell. I mean,
Okay.
whatever you want to
Yeah,
fill me in on, great. But I understand these things
yeah. It's
happen.
just some
Sounds like it was pretty rough.
I can't have put on there, else I gotta cut it out, and that just
yeah.
saves me editing.
So I was saying, yeah, there's
Understand.
that. And then 2023 was hard too because that's when Cam left.
Yep. Yeah, he moved in with his biological father, and
Yeah. And I've seen him twice since then, and that's about it.
but
So yeah,
so
there's a lot. 2024, I'm like, 2025 is my year. It's gonna go better. Like, I'm gonna make sure it is because that's just how it's gonna go.
hey,
So,
I ended 2024 by crushing my foot.
yeah,
So
I know. You weren't very lucky.
no, it's got to go better.
Yeah,
2025 is the year to
so,
do stuff. It is the
yeah,
year to get stuff done. I'm telling you right now.
Mhm.
That's the year. That's what I'm feeling. It's where all the energy is pointing.
yep,
We all went through all of our crap in 2024, I think.
Yep.
yeah,
And I think that 2024 was the end of like a 9-year cycle, also of all
yeah,
this other stuff. And, if you follow numerology at all, it's the end of the 9-year cycle, which means it's like almost slamming a door on the garbage,
yeah.
and
Good.
moving
Thank
forward.
gosh.
So it's like, 2025 is brand new canvas for
Yeah.
everybody.
So
So,
what do you got? What do you have for new plans for like your podcast and stuff like that coming up?
well, Power Man is going strong, so I'm going to keep that going. I have done more with the coaching over there. We expanded, the Power Man coaching platform, and I've been able to bring on more guys. Like I said, I have 2 more openings. In the past, I was trying to keep that kind of small because I wasn't sure what I could deliver on. And I've never
Gotcha.
wanted to take on a coaching client and then not be able to deliver what I'm promising. You know what I mean? The
Hmm.
time, the effort, the energy. I don't want to be sitting there watching the clock, during a counseling session with somebody.
Right,
I want
right.
to be in it 100% and ready to go and giving everything I got. So I've been building that up to say, all right, how much do I really have to give to it? And I'm in a really good spot now, post surgery,
Yeah.
also. So, I'm like the bionic man. I'm better, stronger, and faster now, So
Yeah.
it's, my belief system is so much stronger too after having gone through what I went
Yeah.
through. So there's that. And then the Podcaster Nation has been a labor of love and of trying to just get it set and straight. One of the problems when you have a delay, okay, you
Hmm.
do a whole bunch of interviews and then you have a delay, is that everybody gets a chance to think about it. And then they go, hey, I need to change this one thing. Or, oops, I'm not with that company anymore.
Uh-huh.
Or, oh, hey, that guy that I mentioned, we're done.
Hmm.
So
Right.
I don't want to talk about him. And I'm like, oh, so you have to redo all kinds of stuff because some stuff you can edit. Sometimes you just can't edit it out because it's like a big part of what you were talking about, and either
Yeah.
you just delete 20 minutes of the conversation and go, okay, we'll pick it up there. So you have to redo, and I'm like, redoing a lot of work to accommodate, and I want to do that because I want people to get good stuff out of this. But it really has. Every time I think I'm getting caught up on it, I get set back
Yeah.
with all of
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But we've got enough interviews that I think we're going to be able to go daily, Monday through Friday,
Oh,
and
wow.
put people out. And I had that one post that I talk about all the time. I put it up, and I got like 60 something responses right out of the bat. We still have a few of those folks to get to because I got sick right before I finished it. And then the post stayed up. And when I checked on it the other day, it had 170 comments or something.
Damn.
So there's
Wow.
another 100 plus people who want to be interviewed for the show. And I'm like, I'm going to get all these episodes booked and
Hmm.
ready to go out, then push the button, and then I'll go start, these trying to interview these other 100 people who want to, be on the show, which is a great problem to have. But it just has, it's been two steps forward, one step back, two steps forward,
Yeah.
one step back,
Yeah.
trying to
Hmm.
trying to get it up and running. But
Well, I know that's what I was
so,
telling my wife and that when you agreed to come on here so quickly, I'm like, whoa, it's like, babe, you realize that he's booked way out. The fact that you've
Yeah.
taken the time
Yeah.
out of your schedule, it's like, that means a lot.
Hmm.
well, I
Yeah, you did
appreciate
say
that.
that.
I also know what you guys are going through, and I'm like, hey, if Ashley's feeling up to this right now, let's do it. Let's knock this out and get it done.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
will actually say this is my first time on my podcast
Hmm.
since almost a year ago. So I've had issues there. So, um,
Right.
yeah,
Well, welcome
it's
back.
thanks.
Yeah,
It's been a while.
the first one you were actually on was the one show we just did a week ago.
Yeah,
And I was talking to
Yep.
Rory about that and saying I know it's actually been kind of a big hit with that.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I was a little bit more able to open up there. Um, Doing my podcast kind of makes me nervous and that, but it is what it is. Like, if I don't eventually do it, there's no point to it anymore. And my podcast is a lot of things, in one. Like, it's not just geared towards one thing. It's mental health, it's wellness, it's, all sorts of stuff in one. Like, because, living well with bad habits. Well, what do you define as well? You know what I mean?
and
Sure.
what could you define as a bad habit?
Exactly. So like
That's
it's
true.
you know, I get all sorts of people that want to be on. And I've had a few doctors on. Yeah, my first show was about basically polygamy.
Yeah, which we kind of when we first looked into that one, we were like, oh, okay, it's going to be. We thought they were more along the lines of like sex therapist.
Yeah,
Yeah, come to find out, it was a lot more involved than that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of it's most of her shows are always a learning experience.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, I was nervous the first show. After that, nope. Like, all those nerves were gone. I just got on, did my thing. Like, no issues talking to people. Like, I didn't have to write anything down. Like, it just came naturally. And I do love doing it. It's just, it takes me a while. And it took me a long time to do this. And I'll do more, but it's just gonna be a little bit slower.
That's one of the best
So
parts about podcasting is that it's yours.
yeah,
You can
exactly.
do it however you need to do it. And
Yeah.
any way that you do it is fine because it's yours.
Hmm.
There's nobody above you going, well, it should be this way, or you should talk about this topic. Look, it's
Right.
your show.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the best parts about podcasting also is it's so therapeutic when you're doing it
Yeah.
and when you love doing it. For so many people. And so, I hear people all the time, oh, I don't have enough listeners or I got to figure out how to make money. And I'm like, are
Yeah.
you are you having fun? I mean, are you enjoying what you're doing?
Exactly.
Then
Mm-hmm.
relax about all the other stuff.
Relax.
It's just
Are you listening to him?
it'll come. There's ways to do it, but concentrate on how much you love it first.
Hmm.
And then everything else is going to fall into place. It's why I do what I do. I love podcasting. I just adore it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is just meeting people and expanding your horizons on everything. That is like, if I got to do a podcast and I'm by myself, it's like, nah, I'm not gonna do. I have a hard time if it's just me.
Really?
But yeah, if I have to have somebody to kind of feed off of to actually keep going with it. And then I think the biggest thing is enjoying meeting the new people and everything else.
Whereas I have no problem getting on and recording myself. Um, I mean, what I do, I did a show and I introduced everybody to who I was and why I do what I do. And, like I said, mental health and special needs and disabilities are really like my top list up there of what I really, really care a lot about. And also, in that, you've got suicide in there too, in that mental health.
Mhm.
And when you've had two sons, you know, try to commit suicide and you've dealt with it,
Mhm.
it really opens your eyes. Like,
Yeah.
like my other oldest is 20, and like he said, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. You saved my life.
Here,
That's a
close
hell
the
of a thing to
curtains because
hear.
that does help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I hear you. I've been there.
yeah.
So I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been in your son's shoes, actually.
Yeah, I have myself.
Yeah. So and when you have, then it hits different.
Yeah, it
People
does.
who have never really contemplated, never decided it, never been that low,
Yeah.
sometimes really have trouble grasping where somebody's at
Mm-hmm.
when they're thinking about that. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that your son can tell that you get it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
that's important. It's good that he's got that,
Well,
to
that's like
reach on,
he doesn't
hang
live
on
with
to.
us, and if anything goes wrong, I'm the first one he calls.
That's good. That's a
You
good
know,
thing.
it's
Yep,
mom.
it's a good
Hmm.
thing. That really is.
And I mean, and I'm not even biologically his mother, you know, but I'm his mom.
Well, he can't call his other mom.
Well, of course he can't, but he wouldn't want to anyways, you know. But yeah, that is a very good feeling. It
That's
is.
awesome. Yeah. Well, you guys have quite the situation. I mean, seriously, it's. I mean, every two sentences, there's like a new thing, and I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, you're dealing with that too? Oh
yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
Well, yeah, and then I have long COVID on top of it. They're actually trying to figure out why myself, and my son's bodies are not showing medications in our system when we're actually taking them. And I mean, they're not showing up blood wise or in your analysis. And so my doctor right now is trying to get me into hematology to figure out, what's going on here. Something chemically is not right.
Hmm.
Um, and then his doctor wants to try to say that, somebody's got to be taking his meds or something because it's not showing up. No, like, and we didn't have these issues until we've had COVID and did the vaccines and all that stuff. Like, that's when I started having a lot of my problems.
Well,
Mhm.
they
And
kind of linked your cancer to the vaccine.
yeah, they did. And how many times I've had COVID? Well, I've had COVID 12 times. So, like, you know, yeah, I ended up with long COVID because of it. Like I wake up every day and feel like I have COVID.
Wow.
My head pain is always at a 10. Like it never goes away. They have tried, I don't know how many things to get my head pain under control. And I mean, even to the point where they did what's called a radio wave ablation, and they go in and burn off the ends of the occipital nerves. And that caused me more pain. And then I ended up trigger point injections. That was just nerve blocks, Botox,
Whoa.
um, three different type of injectables you take, like a Jovi, Amnovig, um, for your head pain or headaches or whatever they call them. They call them headaches. I say head pressure because it feels like pressure.
I
Um,
suggested a lobotomy, but she said no.
yeah, no. Mm-mm. I mean, I dealt with that for over a year, them trying to figure out what to do in the first place. And then now I've been waiting over 2 months for a new medication for my head. So I've been dealing with that without anything, like trying, to subside that pain a little bit. And yeah, so it sucks, but I guess I kind of got used to living with that pain. And it was hell in the beginning. Like I had intracranial hypertension is what it was called. So, fluid built up
Mm.
and then they had found a tumor on the brain and they tried to tell me it was just fatty and that sort of thing. And then year later, I find out it's not a fatty tumor. It's actually a real cancerous.
Yeah.
It's not benign. It's what they call a glioblastoma, and it's more commonly found in children, but adults can get it as well. And my uncle even ended up with cancer because of the vaccine. My cousin used to work for Pfizer, and she was actually in the lab, that sort of thing. She stopped working for Pfizer. But my uncle has bone cancer that went to the bloodstream, and my sister, her aunt passed away from cancer after getting vaccinated, the vaccine and everything. So it's just weird how it's all been, and everything is just not right with your body. Like you can even ask him. I had to go to be tested by allergy, and everything came back completely wrong. Like they said I wasn't allergic to bees, nothing. I'm severely allergic to bees.
Well, yeah, I had to drive her to the hospital a couple of years ago because she got stung, and yeah,
Oh,
yeah, all because I tried to take out a hornet's nest.
yeah, yeah. And I don't, all I remember is waking up in the ER. That's it.
You hear stories
So,
like this, and people wonder why none of us want to be in the hospital for a very long time,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like it's sort of almost like the blind leading the blind
Uh-huh.
sometimes over there. And
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
know.
really, you can't run this test?
Yeah,
We all come out of a
exactly.
hospital thinking that we're like some anomaly that they've never seen before because they don't have any answers anymore for anything.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So,
got told that, this really sucks, but you're the first case in Wisconsin for this. We didn't recognize it or even think about it because it normally happens in obese people. And
You're number one.
and she's like, you're far from being obese. And she goes, so we're actually kind of excited because now we get to use you as a guinea pig. And I said, excuse me? Like,
they said
that's
those
what the
words too?
neurologist, yeah, the neurologist.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
The one saving grace I had when I was in there was I had great nurses
yeah,
for most of the time that I was there.
Yeah.
Leading up to the surgery, I had the best nurses you could ever have. And they
yeah,
kept me sane and they kept me going. And when they were running every test in the world, and when the doctors were making comments like that, you know, that just makes you want to punch somebody.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah, I
know.
had
And
really good
then,
nurses who were going, "Don't listen to that idiot. You know, he doesn't know
yeah,
what he's talking about. You're fine." But I can't imagine that comments like that get made. That's
yeah,
just so crazy.
yeah. I was just like, oh my God. And then, so I seen a different neurologist, and you could barely understand her. And then she wanted to up my Lyrica. And I said, you're not upping my Lyrica because that's not what the problem is here. It's not just like pain. It is actually pressure. I feel like my brains are gonna blow out the back of my head. Like,
Well,
there's a
that's not a problem.
difference
Yeah, that's not
there,
a problem. You can't live
you
with that.
know?
What's the problem?
I said, so you're not put me on a higher medication, dope me up more, whatever you want to do, just so you can, yeah, no, sorry. And that's
Wow.
when I finally went to Madison and did things that way. And
No, that's when they found the tumors and stuff.
yeah, it was when I went to Madison.
Yeah, because we don't know how long she was dealing with brain cancer up until then because
Yeah,
they didn't look for it.
no,
But luckily though, at least she had two of them. One of them's gone,
yeah,
and the other one is getting a little better. It's slowly processing it.
yeah. That's the one where they can't do surgery, so it makes it a little bit, yeah, harder
Yeah.
to fight.
Hmm.
So
But not
Wow.
trying to change gears or anything.
we
Um,
can go ahead and change gears.
what so what does it take if somebody's wanting you to be their coach? What do they need to do?
Contact me. Have a conversation.
Okay.
I mean that really is the crux of it. I've started every guy that I've coached has just started with a simple conversation. Like,
Yeah,
what are you thinking? What are you looking for? This is how we do things. How do you feel about it? And how do we move forward? And you know, most of the guys that I've had those conversations with that turned into students, there have been a couple guys who've been like, "Hey, probably not my thing." I'm like, "Great, no problem." And I still invite them to the
right.
group, you know. And it's like, "Hey, I hope you'll check us out at the Power Man within our private group, and um, maybe get something out of that." You know, so that's the process.
Make sure
Where's
it's going good.
Well, you're not supposed to be walking on it.
I knew you were going to say
No, I
that.
just wanted to make sure it was still recording. Ow.
Well, I always do. I don't keep my mouth shut. I tell him exactly, well, it's your own damn fault. Like, if you're in pain and stuff, you shouldn't be walking on it.
Well, our producer walked away.
Well, I know he did. He probably went to go do something quick.
Yeah, I knew you were getting nailed for walking on your foot. I was like, ah, here it comes.
Yeah, no, I do all the time, but it's just like I was saying beforehand, I have an issue with sitting still. I just can't. I've tried. It drives me nuts. It's like if I
Yeah.
sit still, then the things that I've
No,
got going
he's
on.
ADD. I swear, he's got ADHD. I'm not even joking. Like all his boys do. Ask him. Every single one of them
Well,
do.
my squirrels are all over the place.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
know.
row or anything. They're just doing what they want.
I understand. I understand. Herding cats is tough sometimes. Yes.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, it is tough to, just lay there and sit still and not do anything. Trust me, I know I'm very stubborn myself in that factor.
Yes, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Which another thing probably was driving you completely insane in that hospital, just having to sit there and lay there and
Yeah,
it's just
I can't. I hate it.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, I can tell you're very similar to that, Ashley.
yeah,
And when you're a type A personality, when you're an alpha type person, and you
yeah,
just have to literally lay there, and you can't even pee without somebody helping me move this big box of fluid around the side of the bed
right,
so I can stand
yeah,
up. I mean, it's the worst thing in the world.
yep,
So you've lost all your independence, and you've been nothing but independent your whole life. Just that
uh-huh,
alone is crushing the hell out of you.
yeah,
Mhm.
So everything else is just that much harder. So yeah, it's
yep.
it was very difficult, but I was blessed because my wife put up with a lot of me in
Yeah.
in the hospital, and I didn't realize how bad it was at the time, but when I got out and the medication starts to clear, and I'm
Yep.
talking to her, and then I'm remembering some of these conversations, and I'm like, wow, you didn't divorce me like at all over the last 3 weeks. I would have divorced me in those 3 weeks. And she's like, nope, I just knew it wasn't you and you'd come out of it and then I could, beat you up with it. So here you go.
So in other words, she's got some ammo on you whenever you start in on her.
Oh, I mean, basically she's got a plus in the plus column for the rest of our lives together. We've been together
Yeah.
forever. I mean, and when you've been with each other for 30 years, it's you put up with a lot, but this was a lot. I mean, she ran the whole household. She took care of everything that I always take care of in the course of a day. Kids coming and going. The whole 9 yards. All my kids are
Yeah.
grown, but they all came when I was in the hospital. They all came up, so
Yeah.
it was a lot. For her to have to handle all that and me.
Yeah.
So but and she was there every night. I mean, every night sleeping on that, ridiculous cot or in the chair or whatever, they had for her. And,
wow.
yeah, we had some, you might see on my Facebook, I shout out to the ninth floor nurses a whole lot.
Yeah.
For the period of my stay, which was the majority of my stay, thank God, I was on the ninth floor of this major hospital we have here. And those nurses just took so much care of my wife,
Yeah.
in addition to me, that it was just like, I'm going to be grateful to them as long as I'm drawing breath.
Yeah.
Now, outside of that, when we weren't on the ninth floor, oh my God, it just made me really miss the ninth floor because it was a battle. You do your pain meds at a certain time, and an hour later they haven't gotten to you, and you're beating the hell out of that clicker. Like, I need some help. I can't breathe. Give me a
Yeah.
hand, something. I got 5 tubes sticking on my side, and they really hurt now because I was supposed to have that oxy like an hour ago.
Yeah.
And they just
But-
message back, "We'll get to you when it's time."
Yeah, they just ignore you until they get to you.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, what's the problem? Oh, I got it for you now. But yeah, and then they go, but since it was an hour late, now you got to wait longer to get the next dose. And I'm going, no.
That's not
Now
my
we double
fault.
up. Now we double up. Now I get to go to bed for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't work that way.
So,
No.
so how does she handle with everything you've got going on in that? How does she take when you're doing your counseling and stuff like that? I'm assuming from what you're saying, she's very supportive and everything.
Oh, absolutely. She has been from the beginning. She's the one who kicked me in the ass and made me go start my podcast in the first place. Because
Yeah.
I was one of those paralysis by analysis guys. Like, oh, it's got to be perfect. I need to know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And at one point, she just looked at me, sitting next to her. And she goes, why don't you just go record something? And I went, yeah, I probably should go do that.
Yeah.
So I went down to my office and recorded something, and it was terrible. And it didn't work because I didn't have the settings right, but at least I had started the process.
Yeah.
And then I fixed those. I recorded it again, and I had my first crappy episode. There it was. Publish. All of a sudden, I was a podcaster. So, and the rest is history. But she's
Yeah.
very, very supportive. I let her know my schedule and what I've got. Like when I have an interview like this, she knows as soon as I book it, it's on her calendar too.
Yeah.
So that she's, on a Saturday. I had one this morning at 10, and then you guys, at 9 o'clock at night. And it's just something we work around. It's our life, and it's, for me, it's my livelihood. This is what I do for a living. So pays the bills.
Yeah.
So she's as supportive as she would be if I was going to work every day. So it's really, really awesome. I couldn't done any of the stuff that I do without her. And she kind of checks on me. I'll have I had a session with one of my guys who's a veteran, and I do a lot of veterans, so I'm not talking out of school. No one's going to know who I'm
Yeah.
talking about. But it was just exceptionally tough, and that particular person was dealing with a lot of things. And at the end of it, I took a lot of it on, and I was
Yeah.
just
You're
kinda
just
shocked.
drained.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I just sat down in the chair, and I just felt like, next to her, I felt like I couldn't even say anything. And she
Yeah,
just get a
that's what
kiss on
my
the cheek
counselor
and
says
yeah,
too. And then he has to take like a week's vacation just to, because of how many clients he sees. And,
right.
he goes, it just takes a lot out of you mentally. He goes, some of us counselors have our own counselors. And he goes, but yeah, he goes, you need that week off to recuperate and just to regenerate. And it's like, yeah, yeah,
I
you
think if you
do.
have a coach or a counselor that you're talking to and they're not physically exhausted at the end of your session,
Yeah,
then they didn't give you everything that they had.
I know.
And that's why I'm real careful about how many people I take on.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not just out here trying to cash a check. If I can't deliver like that, then I'm not doing anybody any good.
right.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you sure you'd want to try taking me on?
yeah. Oh man, I tell
You're
you
not
what,
that bad.
I would love to work with you. So if you're interested at all, you give me a holler and let's have that conversation.
Yeah, I
But
am.
the best part about you, and I'll be honest with you straight up, is that you give a damn.
Yeah, he does.
You cannot work with somebody who doesn't want to do the work, or doesn't actually care, or is being made to do it and doesn't have like skin in the game. And when you have
Yes.
somebody who like really cares about their wife, their family, their job, their side hustles, you know what I mean? If they're
Mhm.
passionate about being there and being better, I'll work with that. I'll work with that guy all day,
Yeah.
all day, every
The
day.
only
I'll take that
thing
client.
is he just wants this to work now, and he wants like it to make money like now. And I keep telling him, no, it's not gonna. It doesn't happen that way. It takes a while to build this stuff up, and to get out there more, and finally, start investing more and getting sponsors and things like that.
Being
It's
persistent.
yeah, I got it, but you are persistent, but you're very, very impatient at the same time.
That's because
Um,
he cares.
oh, I know.
It's
I
because he
know
wants it so bad,
exactly
right?
why
Yeah,
he cares, but he
yeah,
drives me nuts at the same time because it's like, you know what, babe, I understand it, but I'm telling you, these things don't happen overnight. You have to work for it.
yeah.
Like, you know,
You're
I
not
I
wrong.
just
Yeah,
yeah.
you're not wrong. I do a lot of podcast coaching also. And so, I mean, there's my men's coaching that I do, and then I do podcast coaching for men and women.
Yeah.
And a lot of the podcast coaching, as soon as that's a whole different ballgame.
Mhm.
But as soon as we start up, one of the first things people want to talk about is how can I make money? And so, I mean, everybody wants to do that in podcasting, of course,
Of
and it
course.
does take a long time. But there are also, I mean, just an unlimited number of ways to make money doing it.
Right.
And when people start to really brainstorm, you can very often start making money. At an early stage. It just kind of depends on who you are and what your skill set is and what you're willing to try and everything else. So it's not always just about downloads and advertising. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
Hmm.
so many other creative offshoots,
Yeah.
that you can have. And I've been through all that. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and I've experimented with all kinds of things. But before I was in podcasting, I was in sales for, God, 30 years, I think, ish.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A long time, like most of my adult life. And so I was in sales for a lot of different fields too. I mean, I sold real estate, life insurance, advertising, you name it, over the course of all that time. I even sold chiropractic services once when I was like 22. I was the guy out at the
Wow.
mall working for the chiropractor, like
Yeah.
measuring your back and testing you for carpal tunnel. And that was me at the mall right on the weekend. But so I've done all that stuff. So I came into podcasting just with sort of a wide open, let's try anything. Even if the experts are saying don't do that, I'm like, well, okay, but what if I try it?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Right.
What's it gonna hurt?
Right. Hey, if I'm willing to have somebody tell me I'm an idiot or no or go to hell, it's fine. You know what?
Well,
Great.
that's kind of like you wanted to do to the whole car show thing back where when we lived, in Milton.
I had some traction with it,
Yeah, I know you did. So, like, yeah, we were gonna do a car show, and you know,
but it just never
I can't
worked
wait to
out.
hear that story.
Yeah, the city of Milton was actually willing to get going with it. It just trying to get everything set up as far as like vendors and trying to get the
It's a lot of
advertising.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like out here, we've actually been talking to our local drag strip about possibly trying to get like diesel days going or something
Hmm.
that's sponsored by our network.
Yeah.
Huh.
So we're working on it.
Yep.
Well,
Slowly.
I hope I get to hear more about that. That sounds like you could do a hell of a lot with something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying. We're working on some things like that and just trying to get our name more out there. And I think that's one thing that drives her nuts at times because we'll go into a store and I'm just kind of like quiet, and that next thing I know, she's talking about, hey, you need to try doing or going on our podcast and doing all this. And it's like if I've got to get over the fact that if it's not in my niche, I've still got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because she goes into a lot of vape shops and stuff, and she's always talking to them more. And it's like I've got to get out of, if it doesn't fully interest me, it's like trying to get my mindset wrapped around it to where, hey, I'm still trying to sell myself,
Yeah.
not necessarily their product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, it still needs to kind of fit somewhat of who you are and what you're doing, and because your
Mhm.
audience is tuning into you and who you are.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
Exactly.
yeah, if you have a show that's all about, cars, that doesn't mean you can't, your show is, I'm guessing, a whole lot of men, right?
Typically, yeah, we've got
I know,
some
I'm sure
women.
you have a female following because there's a lot of women who like cars too, but
Hmm.
the majority of your customers probably
I think
guys.
most of the people just like listening to my automotive show just because of how I act on stuff. Because it's, I've basically tried to describe it as like, you remember the old Home Improvement show with Tim Allen?
Rah, rah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
his whole tool time thing, that's kind of how it is, because we've had people that have
um,
just to see how many things I've screwed up on.
admit.
Oh, and we actually have another guest joining that I've really been looking forward to you two meeting. Let me
Okay.
get him in since my
Hurry up.
producer's
Hurry up.
not here.
Yeah, you're fired.
Fail.
Walking on foot again.
Yeah. Well, if my producer was here.
Babe. Hi, George.
Oh,
I
yeah,
can't-
that helps a
I
lot.
can't hear him. He muted?
Yeah, George is muted. He's got to unmute himself.
There we go. How about that?
Hey,
Hi,
George.
George.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're
Good.
doing all right.
Awesome.
So I invited George on because I wanted George and Rory to kind of meet. Because I know at some point I need to have them two scheduled on there.
Yeah.
Because also, like Rory, George is an amazing person, what he's done with his background and everything. And I just think that if you two started talking, you two would hit it off massively, because you both are in a lot of ways in like the same avenue of stuff.
Yeah. They are.
Oh,
So-
Rory
That's cool.
kills people too? That's awesome.
But yeah, so George, this is like
Wait
I
a
said,
minute,
this is
what?
Rory, this is George.
Nice
Hey,
to
Rory.
meet you, man. How you doing?
Very good. How are you?
Good. All right, man. So what do you do, brother?
Loaded question. Here we go.
Yeah.
What doesn't he do?
No, so I use that joke quite a bit when people ask me what I do. I say I kill people, but because I actually teach. I teach self defense, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Judo, boxing, kickboxing, MMA. I was a hand to hand combat instructor in the Marine Corps, martial arts instructor in the Marines, and I kind of followed that into the civilian world.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. How long you been doing that then?
my whole adult life actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And you also have businesses.
I do. I have several businesses, and actually, guys, I haven't made it quite public, but might as well. I'm actually running for mayor now, and my city,
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Congratulations, man. What
Congrats.
city are you in?
Watertown, Wisconsin.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Very, very
Awesome.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
I can see it too because he's done so much for his community, George has. Like, he's helped a lot of people.
And George was also the first person on our military podcast too, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun.
which
Very cool.
yeah, and you do a lot of like also like Rory, you do a lot of like life coach and stuff like that too with
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that you do. And that's why I think you two would just be an awesome group to have like doing kind of like I told my wife here, whenever I can schedule both of you on to do a podcast, the nice thing is I don't think I'm gonna have to do a lot of talking because between the two of you, you two are amazing at
Mm-hmm.
what you guys do and how you guys talk.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing.
Right on.
Yeah.
George, are you on Facebook or Instagram, or what's the easiest way to connect with you?
I am actually the easiest way is just to call me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to do it here, but I can have the Shannons give you my phone number or what I have not, and yeah, just give me a call. Best way to get a
Okay,
hold of me.
Yeah.
great. All right. If you guys don't mind doing that,
Yeah,
message
no,
me
that's
his number.
perfectly.
And then, yeah, George, I'll get a hold of you. I've got a podcast called Power Man. And I mean, I haven't had a martial arts guy on there doing what
Really?
you're doing.
Oh, no kidding.
I had a guy who does jujitsu, but I haven't had one who trains it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
Yeah.
teaches it and that type of thing. So, but I had a guy who does it, and he's real popular on Instagram. It's called Part Time Jitsu is his moniker on
Fun.
IG. So yeah,
Okay.
and he was fun to have on, but I haven't had a guy like that instructs,
Okay.
and that sort of thing. So, I mean, I can tell already that'd be a good conversation to have probably on that podcast. And
Well, if you have George
Yeah.
on your show,
so,
trust me, he's what he's done and his experiences and everything, it's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
he can fill your time without a problem.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that because when I hear that, I think of my kids. My kids say so. It up until recently, I knew 6 languages, right? And my children now say I have seven. So what's that? They say I'm fluent in Japanese because they say I talk a lot.
ouch.
Yeah, big ouch.
How old are your kids, man?
Oh, I got a gang of kids, man. Here I got my daughter, which I think she's the one that coined the phrase. She's 15. My son is 11. My other daughter is 16, and my girlfriend's kid, he's 6 or
Nice.
seven. 7. He just turned 7.
Right. He's cute. I've seen pictures of him. He's really cute.
That's cool. Good
Yeah,
ages.
he
I
never.
remember all those.
They're great. They are, man. And
Yes, they
it's
are.
it's funny. It's easy to think back and say, "Oh, I miss it when this, I miss it when that, or this was the fun age." They're all fun ages, man. You just gotta. Sometimes you have to dig through the bull crap to find the fun. You know what I mean? But it's still fun.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But you know what? When they turn around 16 and that kind of thing, there is no fear there. Like mine don't care what they say, and it just comes out of their mouth, and they get very disrespectful at times, and they get put right in their place, and they don't
Well, you
like
have to.
it, but hey, it's called tough love, and you're not going to disrespect me or anybody like that for that matter. So, and you can ask him. I don't take no bull crap from my boys. None.
Well, and especially with boys, right? Boys, speaking from experience, we like to push the envelope. We like to push limits. We like to push and push and push to see how
Mm-hmm.
far we can get until somebody checks us, and we go, "Oh, there's the line."
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then we'll wait a little while and then try to push again. And, oh, there's the line again. And that's
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just our nature or what. We just like to see how far we can push.
No, both my boys did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. But I'll tell you, it's not exclusive to boys, and I'm sure Ashley would agree with this. My oldest is a little girl, and
Yeah.
all my kids are grown and out of the house, so I'm an empty nester.
Oh, good for you.
Well, when that happens to you, give me a call because that pain doesn't go away.
Oh,
That sucks.
okay.
It's the worst thing that ever happened to my wife and I was our kids growing up and leaving home. Because
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you guys are in
It
the
is
throes of it.
hard.
Yeah, you guys are in the throw of it with all the kids you've got at such young ages too. But when you devote your entire life, every minute of your life, everything you got into all these kids, and then all of a sudden, there's nobody left to take to practice, man. It's you and your wife sitting on the couch going, now what?
You
Yeah,
know what?
and just to think, like, if I wouldn't have gone with my husband now, I would have had my last son graduate this year and would have, yeah. So I had my kids when I was, in my 20s, and it was actually funner, being more like closer, to their age kind of because you could, how do I say this? Understand them better. Like it was easier just to know things. And like my 20-year-old back in 2023, like I said, when he just up and left, and I've only seen him twice since then. It was hard. And like that's a different scenario though, because like it's not like he just left the house to go, live somewhere else and do whatever he wanted. It was a totally different story.
Yeah, but the little one keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, he does. All of them keep me on my toes. Our soon to be 16-year-old does too. And my 18-year-old, who's only mentally 4 to 6 years old, keeps you on your toes too. So, yeah, it's they definitely do. And like, George knows our boys have special needs and things like that, and you have to work with them differently. But they are also super intelligent and like, at times they like to act dumb, but they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm
Now,
sure.
another cool thing, if you do have George on your podcast, he's also quite a well, he's done an amazing job with businesses and stuff like that too.
Yes.
He's got a thing where he actually puts the time and effort into businesses, and then he sells a running business that's actually profitable to people to try to give them a head start on stuff.
Yes.
Wow. All right. How does that work?
Well, so I realized that I had a knack for that, and it's funny. I started off in the gym sector, right? This is what I've done my whole life, and now I actually fight with my accountant about it because I go, I want to sell this gym. He goes, don't sell the gym. I want to sell the gym. Don't sell the gym, and so I thought I see it much like the stock market, right? Buy low, sell high. Very simple concept. But if I could throw in a purpose behind it more than just making money, then that works out too, right? There's a lot of people who are afraid to start a business, for tons of different reasons, right? But that's, to me, that's the most exciting part, is coming up with the idea, starting it, developing it, making it profitable, and then selling, or moving forward, in another capacity, where most people go, oh, what if I fail? And I'm like, maybe, but what if you win? I'm in the what if
Right.
you win, I mean, what if you win category, and that's the way I like to think about it.
Yeah, you think very positive.
That's very cool. Are they all, gym type businesses, athletic based? Is that kind of where your heart's at?
No,
Nope.
yes, it is. That's where my heart is. But no, I have a security firm. I actually just got rid of the entertainment sector, which we had uh, an arcade, smash room, like a rage room, axe throwing.
I forgot
Uh,
to tell you he was selling that.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Is it still there though?
What's that?
The rage room. Is it still there? Did
It's still
somebody
there.
buy it?
It's still there currently. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but it's not all, like, it's not all ups, right? Like, for instance, I had a batting cages for about a year, um, and everything pointed in the direction where it was going to be good, and good location, good city, all that kind of stuff, but it didn't take off. You know what I mean? So they're not all winners. You know. But nonetheless, you got to give it a shot. I believe you got to give it a shot.
Right.
So
You know.
yeah, also George, I just
Oh,
wanted to say
sorry, guys.
Rory, he's the one that I invited you into his page with Power of Man and stuff like that. I just have a feeling too, if you get into some of the podcasts he's done, you would love them. They seem to be right up your alley with stuff. And
Mm,
I just, like I said, you two, I think would just hit it off big time,
yeah.
especially if you do a show together. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, guys. I love to talk and share my experiences, and I think that is, uh, I think that's the next phase, right? So once you've done the things you do, I think the next phase after that is to share it with people, right?
Yeah.
And go on and hopefully see. Unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way, right? And I tell my kids all the time, you can learn the easy way or the hard way, but either way, you're going to learn, right? I had to learn the hard way, and experience is the slowest way to learn. So when I learned that, and I started realizing, oh, I can get from this experience, I can get from that experience, and accelerate my success. I would love to do that for. I do love doing that for other people. You know, a mentorship and guidance is it's invaluable.
Yeah.
Yeah, could not agree more. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And David, thank you for the plug on the podcast. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. Anything I can do to help out. As far as like with what people that I've met on these shows, I have to say you two have been the most inspirational as far as the people that I've got to talk to and meet.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And Rory, where is your podcast out of?
Well, I'm in Indiana.
Oh, very cool. I was just there not too long ago. What part?
Very, very north. I can throw a rock from the end of my street into Michigan. So
All
we're
right.
northeastern Indiana is where we're at.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And now, are you in Wisconsin with these guys?
I am, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Are you a
Watertown.
You a Packer fan too?
I stopped watching TV over 10 years ago.
Okay.
Probably
wow.
Thank God.
close to 15 years ago, yeah.
All right, good. So we don't have to deal with that then. You know, this whole if I'd have known Ashley was a Packer fan, I'm not sure I would have come on the show tonight. I mean, it was kind of a big deal. So
It's funny, man. I actually just had one of my old clients offer me Packer tickets for tomorrow's game.
Oh wow.
And phenomenal tickets, man. And I just couldn't go. I ended up giving them to a buddy of mine, my campaign manager, who was a big football fan and all that. But man, they were actually the tickets that if I was gonna go watch a game, those would be the tickets I would use. You know what I mean? But no,
Nice.
but at the end of the day, I actually I stopped watching and being a part of sports from a mentor of mine. Actually, he put it very basically to me, and I was in sales at the time. I just started a financial firm, and he goes, George, you like to watch Packers? I was like, yeah, of course. You know, who doesn't? You know, and I was fighting at the time too. You know, and he goes, well, you're there cheering them on and all that kind of stuff, and they're making all this money off of you and their tickets and this and that. He goes, when was the last time they came to cheer you on? You know?
Right.
I was like, and he goes, when did they ever come cheer you on at your business? When did they ever come cheer you on at one of your fights? When did they ever, feed your family? Basically, I'm feeding their family, they're not feeding my family. And I go, huh, interesting. And it just basically was about energy, right? I'm feeding energy to people that aren't feeding energy back into me. And I go, man, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
And those
True.
3 hours that I could have been watching a Packer game were 3 hours that I could have been advancing my business, closing business, studying,
Right.
becoming a better person, becoming a better man, becoming a better dad, whatever. So I stopped, and that was the end of it.
That's
Yeah.
great.
That's like me. I'm not really on Facebook much. I don't, every once in a while go on. I'm just more focused on other things right now. And yeah.
That's kind of why I get more into like NASCAR, because with a lot of them, like football and that, I'll watch a game once in a while here and there. But with NASCAR and that, the fact like they took the time out to send Ashley the stuff they sent her,
Yeah.
and all their drivers have like their own charities and stuff
Yeah.
like that, are more involved. I kind of feel more of a connection with like that than the football players. A lot of them, I mean, they're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, the fourth string guys that are sitting on a bench just watching the game.
Yeah.
And most of the time with like professional athletes in a lot of other sports, you usually hear like the negative, and there are a few that are putting money back towards the community, but most of the time it's not a positive thing, but it's, and the fact too is like they look up to these people as their heroes and stuff like that. When we have people that are overseas fighting, losing their lives and stuff, that should be getting paid more and should be represented more as heroes than somebody that's out playing a game on a field.
Right, and don't get me wrong, like whatever people do with their money is none of my business. I don't care what they do with their money, whether they're making 50 grand a year or 500,000. That's irrelevant to me,
Right.
But how I spend my energy, who I give my energy to, that is huge, and whether or not they're giving it back to me, right? Like, is it reciprocal? That is more important to me. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because sometimes you can give your energy and keep giving your energy to people, and all they keep doing is sucking you dry, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. You know, that's what I tell you. Like, I have like maybe 2 friends, like that are actual, like genuinely true friends.
Is it Rory and I?
Well, now you got 4.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
But I mean, I'm not around people that are like that. I try to stay positive and be positive about things, and that's how it needs to be. Like, if you're constantly thinking negative and you're around people that are negative, like, that energy, they're not, like, if you're doing something for somebody, and they can't even pick up a phone and call you, or at least, reciprocate the same thing or something, it's that energy. Like, you need to have that energy the same there. Otherwise, it's like, yep, whatever, I don't need you in my group. My family is good enough, and a few good friends, and that's it.
Well said.
I suppose we've kind of been
Yeah.
going for about an hour and a half now.
Yeah, we have. And I'm sure our boys are, yeah, because they're all, almost what, except for the youngest one.
Yeah.
All of them are 16 and above. And you still gotta tell them, hey, yeah, it's fine. Cook dinner. Why haven't you ate anything yet? Like, make yourself some food. Come on. Like, you have no problem all day long eating and cleaning out the whole refrigerator. Make some food. I mean, because boys, they eat a lot when they're in those ages. It's like, oh my God. You better have like $3,000 a month just in food.
I realize too, not only is this your first podcast with Rory, this is your first podcast having George join you.
No, it's not. We did the one at the old place, and it never like recorded. The recorded got all screwed up.
But it got.
I mean, I was there for a little while, but then I had to
right.
go in because I was
kids.
No, I was sick from the.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't feeling good. Chemo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. There's my memory.
Which no more chemo, thank God. It still takes a while to recuperate from it though, and it sucks. But
you're
I'm
done with that
getting
now.
there. Yeah.
Just the radiation part now.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I'll let my wife finish off the show, and since it is your show, you should be the one to say goodbye.
Yes, I know this. Mm-hmm. I'd like to thank both of you for coming on, Rory and George, and you guys have an amazing night.
But if there's anything you guys want to plug, go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Then we'll make sure we tag the stuff in there when I get the show going.
Yep, exactly.
All right. Oh, thanks, Rory. Appreciate it. Well, let's see. Let's go with, if you guys are in the area or want to learn anything about self-defense, martial arts, or anything in regards to business coaching or whatnot, just let me know. Our school is Defense Combatives, or Defcom for short. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and on the worldwide interweb. And then, guys, if you guys, if anybody's listening and watching or have anything to do with Watertown, Wisconsin, Mayor Monty is back on the run, and we're gonna make this place amazing.
And
Awesome.
anytime you want to come on, and if I'll, usually I say I don't ever want to, I try to stay away from politics and that. I'll do a political show for you.
Yeah. Most
Well,
definitely.
the funny thing is that I'm not a politician. I'm not. I tell everybody, man, I'm just like them here. I don't even come across. I mean, I don't even speak like one. I mean, uh, my advisor, I guess.
Yeah.
The words, George, you can't say that are like. If I had a buck for every time George, you can't say that, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's one of those things, man. Like, I still the Marine is still there all the time, and
Yeah.
it's about, it is about the people, and I believe that to my core. And what's happened in not just these small communities, but all over the place, they forgot it's about we, not about me.
Yep. I agree.
And we got to get back to that.
If this does go good for you, presidency at some point in time.
Yeah.
Well, dude, if you remember, I'm trying to retire. I'm so close, and I keep on coming up with these new. I don't even know what you call them. Projects. It's a new project now, But I want to be retired. And I told you I got my retirement project going. I'm baking bread. I'm making butter. I'm having a good time with that. I'm still semi-retired is what I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
If you ever go that far, I hope that we get the exclusive interview on you when you first become president.
100%.
Yes.
You got it.
That's
Start with
recorded
governor
now.
first.
Yes, it is. It is. It's out there now.
All right.
But, Rory, is there anything you'd like to throw out there?
Sure. As long as I'm here, why not? George, was great meeting you, and good luck with the race.
Thank you,
And
sir.
I do a lot of work with veterans, and I can tell you that an everyday Marine who gives a damn is probably what we need in every political race across the country.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wish you all the luck in the world, regardless of what side you're on, so to speak.
Appreciate that.
So that's awesome. As far as pubbing for me, thank you guys for having me on. It was great. I love you both. I just think you guys are
Me too.
fantastic as a family and a unit and everything you have going on. And I really did appreciate your support when I was in the hospital. So thank you again for that.
Yes.
And but yeah, I've got two podcasts: the Podcaster Nation, which is growing and getting bigger, and my original, my rock, and that's Power of Man. And I'm really easy to find on Facebook or anything else. You can email me, find the socials. It's all under either Power of Man or the Podcaster Nation. So look any of us up there. And yeah, George, I'll definitely be in touch with you as long as that's cool.
I can't wait. Can't wait. I'm excited.
Looking forward to having that talk. Thank you both for having me on too. It was great.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you
guys.
both for being on. We great.
You guys are always welcome.
I know, always. Yep, I agree too. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much for taking your time and coming on and joining us tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful night, guys.
Have a good night,
Thanks.
guys. Oh, and Happy New Year.
Thank
Yeah,
you
you too.
Happy New Year to you guys too.
And Bad Habits Network is fully supported behind you, George.
Yes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
For the yep. And
All right. See
anything,
you guys soon.
yep, we'll see you. And anything
All
you guys do, just let us know, and we'll be glad to have you back on.
Yep.
All right. We'll
Most
make it happen.
definitely.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again, you guys.
Yep,
All right.
thank you.
Have a good
Appreciate
night.
it.
Bye.